A triple from that Heavy Metal Killers album we mentioned a little earlier on the Earache label. We better go through these, Neil. What have we just heard? Ram, Sudden Impact, Crowning Glory, Sea of Dead, Dreams, and In Solitude, Witches, Sabbath. Welcome along to Cauldron. They made it in. Ian and Jason have made it from deepest, darkest Nottingham.
How are you now?
And my commiserations, this is Neal Kay. May heaven have mercy in your soul.
Neal's the man.
Yeah, no. 9,000 life years behind somewhere in time. Lost forever, permanently, I think.
You are, Neil.
I mean, you know, this whole thing is really, really intriguing for me, okay, because you see, sitting silently in the corner over here is one of the wizards behind the label that put out Heavy Metal Killers. And there is an astonishing link between this and what's going on here and 30-something years ago.
You think so?
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me. And I was, you know, looking
He was
forward
there.
to it.
He was only 141 30 years ago.
You know, yeah, they said I was an old man back then. Christ, they weren't wrong. Look, the thing is that, first of all, I'm real pleased to have you down here on the show. Thanks for making the effort.
We're honoured to be here.
No, you know, and I'm kind of honoured to have you here for myself and Malcolm as well, you know, because, like, we don't often get an opportunity to sort of
What's
meet
all this
generations.
transatlantic accent, Neil?
Well, it's not, it's just talking it, you know.
You suddenly switched into this transatlantic accent.
That's good. No, mate, you got that wrong, sport. That's my Australian accent, actually. It's really nice to be able to meet some guys that are doing it today, that have some sort of influence from all those years ago. And the fact remains that there's others out there that are coming to prominence now, that are sort of making me think, sit back and realise that things that happened so very long ago are having this amazing effect on young musicians in rock today.
Maybe we were born too late.
No!
By the way, he's
not at
talking
all.
about music and bands, he's not talking about drinking.
I
I
don't
don't get that straight.
So cool.
This is Jerry's Lunchbox without Jerry. Neal Kay's here, Malcolm Durham's here, and Ian and Jason from Cauldron are here.
Hey.
There's someone in the corner
How are you now?
filming. We just heard 2 tracks from the debut album from Cauldron, rather fine record, Chains of the Night, and we heard Conjured the Mass and the Lebanon Fermenting Enchantress. Fermenting Enchantress is one of those great titles that could have been on a 1970s Pentagram album, maybe even a Sabbath album.
She runs deep.
I knew her grandmother, actually, I have to tell you.
Probably did.
Had the same problem.
Oh yeah, the transit van, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've already had her on email today. Yeah, I wonder-
Have you?
yeah, on email, dear boy.
That's what Neil does these days.
Yeah.
He has people by email rather than any other way.
In any other way, well, that's
So
it,
he's
really.
catching up with him. Anyway, Neil,
Tell me. All right, we're going to.
I thought you wanted to talk to the band.
Yeah, I do. I do.
okay.
I'm just looking through this lot actually, and see. I have the ability to look one way and speak another. It's good, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good act. The interesting thing about your band and the others that have joined you on this, we used to call these samplers in the old days. It was literally a sample of all the bands on there and the work that they could do. It's incredibly reminiscent of stuff that came out in the new wave of British heavy metal 30 odd years ago. And not just because of the format that the record company has put it in, but also because of the music that's in here, the styles of sound. There's a lot of bands in here from all over the world, not just the UK. You guys from Canada, there's others there from Holland, from Finland,
Yeah.
they're from everywhere. And the one inescapable fact is that the influence that the old bands had is clearly there for everyone to hear. You know, there's a band there with a singer that sound like Priest, no question.
Yeah.
There's a couple of bands on there that have obviously got Iron Maiden as their heroes. You know, there's a band there that have a sort of an angle on a Sabbathy type thing, probably more like Angel Witch than Black Sabbath. And there's a touch of Rainbow. One of the things I want to ask you guys while you're down is this double kick drum thing that was so prevalent in certain areas 30 years ago. Cozy Powell probably was one of the finest exponents of double kick playing back then. Back you might, Malcolm, lean out the window and shout something uncouth.
That's Sherry basically saying, get on with it.
You know, back then, double kicks were used for kind of just expressing certain parts of the rhythm track. But today, and for the last few years, it seems to me that everyone in the in the metal field just wants to power everything along all the time with double kicks. Is this why? Why?
Oh, it sounds awesome. That's why.
We don't do it all the time.
No, well, that's to your credit, rather than all the time.
We use it sparsely and properly. We don't overkill it.
It's not new.
Well, I think it's more important with a three-piece band though, because we have less of a rhythm section. We just got the drummer and the bass player. So if he's doing a solo and the rhythm is well, the bass drums help fill in that missing rhythm guitar. I find they complement the bass. So whatever the bass is doing, I think the bass drum should be doing.
That's a pretty good answer.
I mean, that's our angle as a three-piece.
That's one of the best answers I've ever heard. Actually, usually you get, well, it's a fashion.
Oh yeah, the bass drums are basically the rhythm part of the rhythm section. The rhythm guitar.
That's a very interesting comment. To be honest with you, power to you. Yeah.
It might be different if we had a rhythm guitar section, but we don't.
So you use the second
we use
kick
the bass drums.
Yeah.
We use the bass drums and the bass, to make up for that.
All right. Well, that explains that anyway. At least I kind of got that one out. Tell me about the musical influences as you grew up in the field.
Well, for me, it started. I mean, I was, maybe I took the back door in, but I'm a lot younger than you guys. So.
Obviously.
It started. I believe the first heavy metal tune I ever heard was either Welcome Home Sanitarium or the Four Horsemen.
Metallica.
Blaring on my neighbor's stereo, and from there, that was 20-some years ago, and it's just snowballed since then, and landed me here today.
How about you, good self?
Well, pretty similar story. Fight Fire with Fire by Metallica. That was put that cassette on. My sister's boyfriend at the time dubbed me a tape because he thought I'd be into it. So, yeah, I heard Fight Fire with Fire, and then I started getting into older stuff like Iron Maiden and stuff. And I found that compilation that Lars Ulrich put together. So that's where it went off for me. Like, I just started exploring all those bands, like, that were on that compilation, and bands that weren't on the compilation, but just like researching.
Also, when I was a kid, I couldn't afford to actually go to the CD store and buy CDs or records, so we would go to the pawn shop where all the cassette tapes were $1 each. And we would just buy anything that was on Bonsai Records, and that's how we would gamble. We would buy bands we haven't even heard of, but if it had a Bonsai Records logo, we would buy it. And
yeah, I mean, way back when there were sort of certain labels that we used to know. That you could almost guarantee within reason.
There's the Earache now, of course.
Yes,
and in
exactly.
Canada, you could trust anything with a Bonsai label. Like 9 out of 10, you were going to get a hit. So
that's pretty good. That's a very good average, actually.
And hey, at $1 an album, you can't go wrong.
No, that's true.
So it turns out, at least in your case, that Metallica were one of the sort of linchpins of sort of the start for the band.
Yeah, for sure.
And inspires you to move onwards, really. I mean, Metallica themselves, I know people say today, well, they're a bunch of old guys. Oh, you must be kidding.
Well, they started in 1981, so 8 years.
Malcolm, we have a few years on them, old boy.
I know, but they still started quite a long time ago. Remember when Def Leppard recorded a bunch of kids?
Yeah, they were young, weren't they?
Well, Def Leppard gigged for me at a venue in London called the Music Machine, and the drummer was only 14 and a half. I brought them to London for their first ever show.
Yeah, Rick Allen.
Actually.
14 and a half.
Oh, Rick Allen was only... What
year
was this?
1979.
Okay.
Actually, when I had a show going there, we'd bring like 3 bands down and I'd DJ the evening or whatever. And Leopard we brought down from Sheffield, and some of the parents came with them. Actually.